Government-run groceries
You just lied.
Jail, not
I did not lie. Can I speak for 2 seconds? I'm not here to answer to you. Okay,
You just made the claim.
Can I speak for 2 seconds? This is.
When did he ever say he wanted to get rid of prisons? You made a direct claim.
That's part of his platform.
When did he ever say that?
That's literally part of his platform.
When did he say that?
He's part of the DSA. I can point you to the website after. I'm happy to show you that.
One time
the
you
point
just lied
is this.
on air.
Oh my lord. Okay, I'm happy to point you
Lydia,
to the website.
It's just a simple question. Has he actually said that?
That's literally part of his platform.
Where?
A conservative panelist claimed Mamdani's platform includes abolishing prisons and private property. Isaiah Martin stopped her and asked one question. Has he actually said that? She pointed to a website. He pointed out she was lying. The moderator moved on. The lie did not. Welcome to the debate, Chase. Today, we break down the panel where Project 2025 got turned back on the people who built it. Let's get into it.
99 days from the midterms, Democrats are facing a reckoning. Disavow and disown the Democratic Socialists of America, or embrace policy positions like these endorsed by the DSA's co-chair.
Okay, so we're going to put up on the screen a few of the things that are part of your platform, and I want to ask you, just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate.
True.
Okay, replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them.
Yep.
Abolish ICE.
Absolutely.
Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally.
As a long-term plan, yep.
Defund the Pentagon.
Absolutely.
Abolish prisons, at least in large part.
Yeah, again, that as part of a long-term program, yeah.
Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't agree with any of those statements. I don't think a majority of Democrats agree with those statements. I think we have a lot of great candidates running across the country, some that are veterans, and some that are from the moderate side of the party. These are views that are, I think, represented by a very small amount of individuals that are not representative of the Democratic Party at large, and I personally do not support those.
You know, what's really interesting is that, this is a person that has their own views, their own platform, and, I think everybody has their own positions. But I find it really interesting that conservatives actually want to try to go and talk about this when they literally had Project 2025 in the last election. Project 2025, which was uniquely calling for the gutting of the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and many different things. What I know is that the Democratic Party is a big tent party. We've got folks like Joe Manchin, folks like Zohran Mamdani, and I would like to work with somebody like Zohran Mamdani that has gone forward and had a sharp reduction in crime.
It is actually an okay analogy, but you would have to acknowledge the Democrats ran against Republicans on Project 2025, and Republicans eventually had to try to disown it. Some of them tried to do it and others didn't.
People in elected office are doing. Anybody can come up with their own platform or whatever, just like the Heritage Foundation had when it came to Project 2025. What we're talking about is the results of the people that have been elected to office. I don't mind working. And as a matter of fact, I would love to work with someone like Zohran, who's had record lows on crime.
Zohran Mamdani, who spends the World Cup with Rikers inmates and is pushing to
universal
abolish
child care for
prisons.
so many people
It's a real shame that black voters don't feel that way in the South.
Why what the heck does race have to do with this?
According to the according to the Politico article citing black voters in the South who have made it clear that because Democrats are so focused on the DSA candidates, they have completely abandoned black voters running as Democrats.
You know what black voters don't support? They don't support the gutting of the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, part of Project 2025.
I'm so sorry that Politico article happened to you.
On the Heritage Foundation's website. So that's what you support.
You can bring up things from years ago if you would like, but what's happening right now.
I don't think that black voters support that whatsoever.
I mean,
not at all.
I'm just reporting what it is.
Congress have made it very clear that they don't like it.
After all, the chair of the Hispanic Caucus just lost his seat
coming from an organization that you literally on the website of yourself.
Again, I'm talking about the traditional groups of Democrats, which are. I have two people talking to me.
You don't want to touch that one.
Figure that out.
I don't want to touch that one.
You're going to explain why you brought up.
Yes, absolutely, because there are traditional groups that are considered to be active and proud Democrat voters.
Why don't you want to talk about the gutting of the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act?
What are the traditional groups?
I think that's rather extreme to me. I think actually that's the most extreme thing out of anything that's been mentioned so far in this segment. Getting rid of the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. Do you support that?
No. Which Republicans are running on that?
The people that supported Project 2025.
Donald Trump
right now, Donald Trump has supported, and Donald Trump literally has someone that is that is working on the OMB that literally was a part of this. Russ Voigt was a big supporter of Project 2025, and he has him appointed into office. So the point is that Republicans not only had...
Here's the point.
Let's start with the true or false segment, because the format itself was the trap before a single answer was given. A DSA co-chair was asked to respond yes or no to abolish the Senate, abolish ICE, abolish borders, defund the Pentagon, abolish prisons, public ownership of corporations. No elaboration, no context. No distinction between a long-term ideological vision and an immediate legislative proposal. The result was predictable. Each yes became a headline. There is a meaningful difference between saying we should ultimately transform the criminal justice system and saying release everyone from prison tomorrow. The true or false format collapsed that distinction deliberately, and the co-chair walked into a trap that basic media training would have prevented. Martin's response was precise. He acknowledged he does not support those positions, and neither do most Democrats. Then he did what the panel needed. He pointed at Project 2025. Not a fringe organization's wish list. A detailed governing blueprint hosted on the Heritage Foundation's website, calling for gutting the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, written by Trump allies, implemented by Trump appointees, with Russ Vought, a primary architect, now installed inside the administration. The conservative panelists tried to distance Trump from it. Martin held the line. The document exists. The appointments exist. The receipts are public. The Mamdani exchange was the panel's most important moment. The conservative panelist claimed his platform includes abolishing prisons and private property. Martin challenged her immediately. Has he actually said that? Where? She referenced the website. He identified that she was conflating Mamdani's personal platform with external DSA organizational position. That is the difference between accurately describing a candidate and lying about him on national television to make him unelectable. The moderator moved past it. Martin did not let it go. That refusal to let false characterizations settle unchallenged is exactly the fight Democrats too often decline to have. The grocery store dismissal closed the segment with the most telling conservative argument of all. When Martin defended Mamdani's municipal grocery stores offering 30% discounts, the opposing panelists compared it to a 7th grader offering free ice cream. Popular, but economically unviable. Martin's answer was simple. Trump just handed another round of tax cuts, whose majority benefits went to the top 1%, whose economic proposals get taken seriously, and whose get dismissed as fantasy depends entirely on who is making them and who is being asked. A billionaire cutting taxes for the wealthy is sound policy. A progressive mayor discounting groceries for working families is 7th grade economics. The double standard is not subtle.
And I think that's maybe why they're so reluctant to disavow some of these really extreme radical policies, like getting rid of prisons and opening the borders again, as we saw under Biden. And this is the thing. So look, Zohran Mamdani, you mentioned Zohran Mamdani earlier, and you said, great, can I talk for a second? Zohran Mamdani, who you want to be part of this Democratic Party, who Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, everyone has seemed to embrace. Yeah, he watched the World Cup at Rikers. He wants to get rid of prisons. He wants to abolish. This is literally the most radical.
When did he ever say that, Lydia?
He wants government-run groceries.
You just lied.
Jail,
I did not lie. Can I speak for 2 seconds? I'm not here to answer to you.
You
Okay,
just made the claim.
Can I speak for 2 seconds? This is
when did he ever say he wanted to get rid of prisons? You made a direct claim.
That's part of his platform.
When did he ever say that?
That's literally part of his platform.
When did he say that?
He's part of the DSA. I can point you to the website after. I'm happy to show you that.
One time you just lied on air.
Oh my lord. Okay, I'm happy to point you to the website.
It's just a simple question. Has he actually said that?
That's literally part of his platform.
Was that on his
He wants government-run grocery stores. This is literally.
When did he say about getting rid of prisons?
My point is that you have a candidate like Zohran Mamdani, who is incredibly radical, who the Democratic Party is thrilled to embrace. Because the alternative is.
Well, okay, let's.
Oh my lord! Can you stop interrupting me for like 3 seconds? The point is.
Sit with the shape of this debate for a moment. The conservative argument was that Democrats have a radical fringe problem, pointing to DSA positions that most Democratic elected officials do not hold and that most Democratic voters do not support. The progressive response was to point at Project 2025, A detailed, funded, staffed, governing agenda written by people who are now inside the executive branch, calling for the weakening of the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. One side is dealing with a fringe co-chair who went on Fox and agreed to a true or false format she should have declined. The other side is dealing with a governing philosophy that is currently being implemented. Isaiah Martin understood the asymmetry and named it. The Democratic Party's size and ideological range is a feature of a coalition that actually tries to represent the diversity of the country it wants to govern. The fact that it contains people with views ranging from Joe Manchin to Zohran Mamdani is not evidence of a party in crisis. It is evidence of a party that has not demanded ideological purity as the price of admission. That is a more honest reflection of what a Democratic coalition looks like than a party that requires adherence to a single leader's preferences as the test of belonging. The fight Martin brought to that table is the fight the moment requires, not righteous and above it, not too refined to correct a lie in real time, just accurate, prepared, and unwilling to let false characterizations of Democratic candidates go unchallenged on national television. That is the standard. More of it, please. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the DSA platform positions are a genuine liability for Democrats in competitive districts? Or does the party's big tent model ultimately serve it better than purity tests? And was Martin right to push back as hard as he did on the Mamdani characterization? Subscribe to the debate, Shays. We will keep watching who is willing to correct the record in real time and who is not.